Hair, Love, Radio.
You're listening to Hair Love Radio, where we get into the nitty-gritty of what it takes to make your dreams a reality, start unlocking your potential, and live your best life, helping hairstylists, creatives, and girl bosses spread their awesome and light like confetti. You were made for awesome. Hi, welcome to Hair Love Radio. It's your host, Elizabeth Faye. Today, I'm really excited to be here with one of my dear friends and an incredible guest, Olivia Smalley. She's known on Instagram as OMG Artistry, and if you're not familiar with her, you're going to completely fall in love with her today. In today's episode, we're going to talk all about going viral. And so this is kind of a interesting topic because I actually have never gone viral myself. And I would say a lot of people who are online haven't, but it's something that I'm excited to talk to her about because I have a lot of questions and I'm sure you guys do too. So this is going to be really fun. So I'm going to bring her on. Olivia, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Elizabeth.
Olivia is actually one of our Hair Love artists, and she's going to be at Hair Love Retreat 2019, blowing your freaking minds with a class all about how she does everything social, and we are going into content creation on a new level. And by the way, it's in the freaking mountains in Zion National Park, so it really doesn't get any better than that, and I'm so excited to spend 5 days with you. It's going to be epic.
Oh, we're going to have such a good time. I know it's going to be life-changing.
Oh, for sure. I like, you know how people like little kids are like, how many sleeps till Christmas? That's how we are with Hair Love. We're like, how many more sleeps till Hair Love? Anyways, so I had told you guys in 2019, we are doing some fun things with the show. And so I'm excited to do one of my favorite segments with Olivia today. Get happy, get snappy.
Get happy. Get snappy. Get happy.
Get happy.
Get snappy. Get happy. Get snappy.
Get happy.
Get happy. Get snappy.
So, Olivia, what are things that are making you happy? And we can get snappy with you today in your life, in the world, and social media. What's going on that's super happy?
So actually this week, I had 2 articles come out, one on Allure magazine and one on Glamour magazine about my hashtag snow hair, which was incredible. I woke up to a Google alert from Olivia Smalley and I saw that it was posted and I'm so happy.
That is so cool. So was the article, like, explain what hashtag snow hair, and like I saw the beautiful, literally stunning pure white hair. She was in the snow with her hood. If you haven't seen it, it's in the show notes. We went ahead and linked it, but tell us a little bit more about that. And by the way, get snappy. That's so awesome. That's so amazing.
Well, this is exactly kind of how the process came out. Was a lot of people were asking how to achieve this hair. So let's keep in mind, she is a natural level 7-8. So lifting on that behalf is not too hard away. But what people don't know was she was actually red prior up to this. So just the transformation alone of her going from like a strawberry red to this beautiful snow hair, which is basically a total elimination of yellow as an entirety. And one of my girlfriends, Marcy from Allure, she is actually one of my clients, and she reached out to me and she said, hey, listen, there's this new trend that's coming out right now. We'd love for you to kind of expand on it. And from there, Allure actually picked it up, and then Glamour magazine picked it up. So it's 2 images of one of the girls that is my client, who is incredibly gorgeous, and she's got such healthy, beautiful hair. And we had transformed her hair probably over a year, and we did it low and slow every single time. And that's what the article talks about. So I'm so happy.
That's amazing. Can we also get happy about, I know this was a minute ago, but your video where you curled your hair in a water bottle and like the reaction you got to that, like how amazing is that?
Okay, the water bottle curls, let's go back.
Hold the phone. I need to try that because I like trust you and love you, but like I need to know that it works.
Okay, That is exactly why I filmed it. So I was in Vegas at the time, and I actually saw this video from a Sills page. And I was like, there is no way in heck that actually works. So originally, it was supposed to just be a reaction video of me attempting to do it on myself. So I set it up, I recorded it, and as you could see by the reaction on my face, it actually worked. So I knew immediately that it was going to go viral. And the reason why I say that is because when I went to a Sills page, I refreshed the page. In a matter of moments, it went from like 10,000 to 20,000 views. So I knew that this was already going viral on his page. So my point is to be the fastest, not necessarily the first.
When it comes to posting something that might be viral.
Yes, exactly. So I took an idea, I made it my own, and I basically created a reaction video from it. So from there, what ended up happening was there was actually no original content from that video that they could stream back from, because it was somebody across the seas. And there was a lot of publications that actually wanted that video, but they couldn't get permission. For instance, the New York Post reached out to me and they asked, can we use your video as this content? So it was New York Post, Cosmopolitan, Vogue reached out to me, Allure, Glamour. And then there was like people from like a lot of people from Ireland that actually had reached out to me. A few people from Dubai. Yes. And every single day I was getting Google notifications. So let me explain Google notifications to you guys, because this is something new that I have been doing. You can actually go to googlealert.com and you can type in your name. So I typed in Olivia Smalley and I created an alert. So anytime somebody writes an article about me, you can actually get an email that says Olivia Smalley. So I did Olivia Smalley. I did OMG Artistry as an alert. I did water bottle curls as an alert. And I kept getting all of these emails from people writing articles. So they weren't necessarily tagging me on Instagram, but they were writing about me in their articles and I was able to see it. So that's how I could see the publications. And I would highly recommend everybody do that almost immediately, so you can make sure that you're honing in on those publications.
That's amazing. And this is also another thing. We do have a lot of creative entrepreneurs that listen to this podcast as well. And so if you're someone who maybe has a product that's trademark or a name or something, this could also be another amazing way for you, your team, or your lawyer, just to be making sure that everything you've created and protected is safe as well. So
yes, I actually just got OMG Artistry trademark. So that's another snaps, right? But it took me forever. It took me forever. For whoever is listening to this right now, get your name trademarked like immediately. I want to say it took me like a year and a half, just because OMG is very hard to kind of claim. So I had a lawyer. I think we had to like appeal it like 4 times maybe.
And you have to pay each time you appeal it.
And you had to pay.
You know what? We will do a podcast on this because my girlfriend is a lawyer and I have been through more lawyer shit protecting my brands over the last 5 years than I'd like to admit. And we could do an awesome podcast on what that looks like, but let's keep talking about that.
Yeah. So finally I got my name trademarked and it's completely solidified. So yes, when you guys are building your brands online and you're just taking so much time and all of a sudden, you know, somebody claims your name, it's very possible for them to take ownership of your content that you have worked so hard for. So let me give you a for instance. I actually found somebody that was using my name. It was OMG _ artistry. And that was the day that I was like, okay, I need to get my butt in gear and I need to trademark my name, because I will be damned. And I've been talking about trademarking my name for like 8 years. Like it's not, you know, it's just like not knowing the correct people for it. Like, and finally I was scared. I was scared that everything that I worked so hard for was going to be taken away from me. And you know what? Now I have my name and now I'm protected. So definitely highly recommend for you guys.
Well, and something that maybe will give some people some peace of mind with that, because it is expensive. I mean, I have spent about $20,000 protecting my curriculums and Hair Love, and it's not always been a simple, easy thing. But just to trademark one name doesn't necessarily have to be that expensive. I think an application, $5 to $1,000. You're going to be like a couple $1,000s for sure if you don't have to appeal it multiple times. But something that I learned is there's like public trademarks and copyrights. So if you have proof that you've been using something for a certain amount of time, there is like, you're still protected in the sense that you've been marketing that and you can prove that you have been using that to generate income for a business. And so that is something that if you're like, crap, I don't have the money right now, I really want to protect what I've built, I wouldn't stress so much about it. But I would say as soon as you can make it happen and you can have a couple extra $1,000s, it's worth doing. And all you need is a intellectual property lawyer. I mean, you just Google it in your area, and I would just do your research, like as far as reviews and stuff, and make sure it's a good one, because a good one can kind of tell you ahead of time, like something like, hey, OMG is going to be really hard to trademark, plan to appeal and appeal and appeal, and I don't know what's going to happen. Or they'll say, hey, this is easy, or it's going to be hard. Do you want to change your name or not? And if it's a brand you've created like you did, or like we have with ours, you're like, no, I'm going to fight it. Let's keep going. But yeah, it's just something to think about. Or even if you're creating a salon name, you could always ask an intellectual property lawyer, like, is this something a million other salons have? Blah, 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 blah.
Yes.
And something that's so common that so many people have, don't even worry about trademarking at that point. Like if your salon's name is, I'm just going to pick something, Shears or something that's like so popular, at that point it's not worth it and no one can take it away from you anyways. And so yeah, that's just a little tidbit.
No, I love that. And keep in mind, you can always write it off on your taxes.
Yes. Yeah, and you're protecting your income. The biggest asset you have is your income. So
yes, absolutely.
Well, oh my gosh, so many happy things. So
yes, and let's even continue on this viral path.
yes, let's keep going.
Okay. All right. So video. Let's talk video, for instance, right now.
Let's talk video. 2019 video.
Video, voice. People want to see words coming out of faces in 2019. So what that means is people want to see your face. And a lot of marketing pages that I've been looking at that are outside of our realm is where I get most of my ideas from. And what I have noticed is first person perspective is extremely popular right now. So think of like stories as first person perspective, but even transforming that into a marketing campaign for yourself. So what that means is, let's say for instance, you're with your client, don't worry necessarily about having an assistant. I feel like sometimes that's what our biggest issue is, and our biggest void is because we always say, well, when I get an assistant, I'm going to do this. Or when I have a better area to do it, I'm just going to do this. And I feel like it's people that keep, basically when you have an arrow and you keep aiming at the target, but you never actually shoot, you actually never really make any progress. So what you have to do is first person video. I actually have certain clients that I tell them to, with my camera, my phone, to actually record exactly what I'm doing. And video is the most important content on the internet because of algorithms. Algorithms are, the one thing that's killing us all softly, which has an effect of going viral, to bring this full circle. So the algorithm states that the longer a person spends on your individual post is how long and how often they're going to show up in your feed. So for instance, if you're watching a video, that first 5 seconds is already preset, because what happens when you play video, what happens when you're on the feed, the video already plays. So you have that 5 seconds of that person's attention immediately. Okay. Moving forward, if they watch the entire video, that means that they've spent anywhere from 5 seconds to potentially like a minute on your actual on your actual content. So the algorithm rewards those who have the longer amount of attention span. Actually, after this podcast, if you guys head over to my Instagram page at OMG Artistry, you'll see probably about 85% of my content is actually video. February of this year was when I kind of started to look into the algorithm and exactly what that means and how we can beat the algorithm. And I've come to the realization that number one, video, yes, of course, because the algorithm states, the longer somebody spends on a post, the more susceptible they'll be able to show up in your feed. But also communication. Okay. So communication is definitely key. And sometimes we choose people more on their ability to communicate and effectively show that their content is exactly what you're looking for. So, social media is changing the way we communicate, and sometimes we are perceived both negatively and positively, but every single time that you post a photo or your video or you update your status, you're contributing to your own digital footprint and your personal brand. So you have to make it a good one, and you have to make it your own. So what works for me will not necessarily work for somebody else. So I always reach outside of my industry to gain inspiration. I follow a lot of makeup artists. Makeup artists have always done this industry right, and they've always done it first. And I always see kind of where those trends are going, how I want to start creating like my brand story, my brand layout. But keep in mind too, I think sometimes we spend so much time like climbing ladders that are leaned on the wrong wall. And what happens is we start to emulate somebody else when we really need to start emulating us. And
yes. I think keep going.
I'm getting into it, girl. I feel like number one, my best advice for that would be to actually start speaking and to actually start opening your mouth. Because it's easy to replicate content and context, but not necessarily easy to replicate speaking. Does that make sense, Elizabeth?
Or heart or vibe. And that's
right.
What will separate you is when you can open your freaking mouth and have a voice, and it's a real voice with knowledge behind it. Anyone can, you can attest to this. I'll post something and I'll literally see 20 posts the next day talking about exactly what I just posted about. That's fine. I'm glad that I inspired you, but you can't take my voice. You can't take my knowledge. You can't take the way I make people feel. You can't take someone's passion. And that is what's going to separate you and your content all day long, right?
Absolutely. And being relatable and communicating. So they say I looked up a statistic that said 75% of people are naturally not good communicators. So let's think, for instance,
whoa, 75%. That is a massive amount.
But think about the
that's
people
awesome.
that are thriving on social media right now. They're good communicators.
They're storytellers. Yes. They're
storytellers. Just to give a few shout outs to some of, my Cosmoprof team, if anything, Christina's an amazing, Christina Kreidel, she's an amazing communicator. You're an amazing communicator. Cassandra Platinum, Rebecca Taylor, these people show their voice. No wonder they are successful. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When you communicate, it doesn't mean, this is the thing, I think a lot of people don't really realize this is, I think certain people are well, I'm a better hairstylist than that person. I'm a better hairstylist than that person that's online. And why are they so popular? It's because they're better communicators. Mm-hmm. If you want to be that person, you need to open your mouth. You need to start consistently creating content online, consistently have your voice be shown, and you need to be engaging.
Well, and I'm going to back this up a minute. I am a communicator by nature, and that doesn't mean I have the best grammar. It doesn't mean I use the biggest words. It just means I articulate my feelings and emotions in a way that other people understand. And with that being said, you can be really brilliant at blonding, but I promise you will make more money and have a higher client retention if you are a better communicator behind the chair. So whether you want to be on the influencer, leader, badass hairdresser side of this, the salon owner, whatever, Communication will make you more successful. I had a brilliant clientele that I've kept for, it was almost a decade of doing like their hair because I communicated with them. Hey, I'm traveling a lot. Hey, this isn't realistic for your hair. And we were so much on the same page. And I can count the times on my hands I had big problems. And it was because of bad communication. I got too busy that day and I didn't communicate. So communication will make you better at everything. Your love life, parenting, owning a salon, having an assistant, people who are struggling with having assistants and figuring it out. Trust me, because I feel like I've fucked everything up in my career enough times to figure it out to help people. I'm like, that was my calling in life. But it's because I didn't communicate with the first few people I hired at all, and it was a bloody nightmare. And then I learned better. And so you will have the best assistant of your life the second you learn to confront and communicate better than you ever had in your life.
And a better leader, no matter what that looks like. Like, no matter what that looks like, let's say, for instance, you are in a salon and you become, like you're a salon owner and you become so busy that goes by the wayside. There creates a lot of separation when there's no communication. Whether that's with your stylist, whether that's with your significant other, whether that's with your followers, whether that's with your friends, that's where you have to take the time and dedicate into and implement constant speakings. So
100%.
And that just completely, and let's bring this back full circle, going back to the viral videos. I didn't necessarily speak in that video with the water bottle curls, but you could see it on my face.
Yes.
Right?
No, you went through a story. Yes.
Literally
went through what anyone would go through. Like, I don't know if this works. Let's try it out. Oh my freaking gosh. You know what I mean? Like, I went through it with you.
Yes. And giving credit where credit is due. Always. Listen, I'm telling you right now, there's no such thing as an original thought. And we all know that. And we can only make it our own. And sometimes I think we take up a lot of brain space worrying about other people who are copying our stuff, because I do it all the time. I am still learning. We are all human. But at the end of the day, you need to have your blinders on. Stay in your own freaking lane and go full speed ahead. Because if your brain space is so concentrated on what somebody else may be copying or doing like you, it's only a deflection of them defeating you.
So back to staying in your own lane. So here's an amazing example is people are going to have similar ideas to you, and that's totally fine. And if you are watching what everyone else is doing, it really does screw up your creative process, and then you second guess yourself or you change your content when your original idea would have been your best version of your content. So here's an example. We launched in the beginning of 2019 a program called Hey Happy Life. Hey Happy Life is this awesome free service. It's a 12-month long experience. Anyone can join. Your mama, your sister, you, your brother, your friend, your bestie. And what it is you get happy alerts that basically walk you through getting really good at things and overcoming fear throughout 12 months. It's free. It's easy. It's really fun. There's a fun Facebook community with it. And guess what? The beginning of the year, probably 25 other people in our industry launched little beginning of the year programs, and about 100 other people in life coaching and business coaching industries probably launched them, and probably thousands of people on blogs launched them. And that's totally fine, because as long as it serves your audience, your fan base, and the people who you are dedicated to serving, that's all that matters. So I think keeping your blinders on could screw you up from actually serving the people who show up for you from you showing up for them. Would you agree with that?
You just said it so perfectly. Like, everything that you're just saying about, especially starting something new, it's already been done before.
Yep. And you just have your own twist. And that's what makes it different. Is these were ideas that I've learned in therapy, that I've learned from my life coach, that I've learned through years of making mistakes combined into a little journal. So it's unique to me in that way, but it is a gratitude practice. Am I the first person to teach that? Of course not. But maybe the way we do it has our own little brand and spin on it. And it doesn't matter because it's still serving my audience and helping them.
Yes. And going into that even more is being your brand. So everything that you're explaining about, like, happy life, you have to live. If this is, for me, like, every person that I take pictures of, videos, like we're having fun. Like, that's what emotion I want to evoke. Okay. But if you're not living that life, it's going to come off as unauthentic. So like there's this one quote that I love so, so, so much. And it says, your smile is your logo, your personality is your business card, and how you leave others feeling after an experience is your trademark.
Oh,
So
I have chills on my legs. My hairs are growing back in now. That's so good.
But am I right, Elizabeth? Like
You're so right.
when you have this perception of somebody online and you actually meet them in person and they're not that person, it's so that saying like kill your idol. Like
Yeah, nothing sucks more.
you have to live this life of what you're projecting out, because after a while it just becomes bullshit.
Yeah.
And people will know. People will figure it out, and they'll start to see that everything that you are projecting is just a facade.
Yeah.
So,
well, and things that go back to getting viral, like things that go viral are things that people relate with. They're things that are eye catching, and they're things that people make a connection with. And nothing is more of like, nothing draws you in to connect with more than like authenticity. Like nothing. Like when you see these happy dance videos or these memes or whatever, you are loving them and sharing them because you're like, oh my gosh, I do that in the shower too. Or I totally have that thought every day. Like they're real things that's why people repost them. They're like, oh my gosh, same. And so
yes.
that's what goes viral. And that's why, I mean, the water bottle thing is cool, but it was the experience of going with you, not you just like this cute little pucker, like, okay, cute. Like it still would have done well, but like how much more did people connect with that because they went through it with you? And so
Absolutely.
I think, and you're just really creating a real brand. And at the end of the day, like we're the people who have to live our lives and deal with it. And it's so much more fun to sell things that you eat, sleep, and breathe genuinely. Like I would hate to do Hey Happy Life for a whole year of free content for people if it wasn't something I enjoyed. But it's fun because I'm making my kid do it with me and my boyfriend and my mom. And they're easy things like making your bed. Like they're nothing that is going to hurt us or be hard. It's something that genuinely is going to like start our day better. And it's a lot easier to sell things that you're like, hey, this works. This is fun. You should do it, you know?
And you know what also too, speaking feature pages, like when pages feature you online.
Yes.
So this is the thing. If my content wasn't so informative and entertaining, it doesn't matter how many people went to my page. It doesn't mean they're necessarily going to follow me. You know what I mean?
That's true. That's
So
true.
have you guys, the people listening right now, have you ever been featured on like a big page, like Modern, whoever it might be, like even reposted by certain brands? And you're like, well, damn, like I was featured, but they didn't give me that many followers. Well, they suck. Like that's our first initial thought is maybe their followers are not that good. No, honey, maybe your content is not that good. There's nothing keeping people from wanting to follow you if you get reposted. Am I right?
No, that's true. That's
And
true.
another thing, never ask for a feature from these pages. If you are going on to certain media pages or distributors or brands, never reach out to them and say, hey, can you repost my stuff? You better make sure that you are undyingly loyal to that company and you are consistently commenting on their stuff, reaching out to them, engaging, maybe writing back to a story. And I just feel like sometimes people ask me all that. They're like, oh, will you follow me? And I don't even see a DM between us. I'm like, I don't even know who you are. I'm like, why would I follow you when you don't even support me?
Mm-hmm.
And I just feel like that's how a lot of these popular pages feel. It's like, well, why would I even want to feature you if you're not supporting me as a follower at all? So, and keep in mind, a lot of these publications, there's like 20 people that are managing these pages. I mean, maybe not 20, maybe anywhere from 5 to 20 people that are managing these pages at a time. So you have to like always be on there and find out who the editors are. I'm telling you right now, these editors for these big pages are going to be the new Instagram celebrities because they're the ones that are writing the content. They're the ones that are communicating and they're getting their faces out there. And and tag them, figure out who they are, create relationships with them.
Well, and I mean, so there's a lot of ways to go viral. So I'm going to take like a little side spin here. So there's like obviously the traditional way, like you post something cool, like your bottle video, people connected, it went viral, you got featured. But there's also the sense of like going viral in your life and in your business with not a follower count, where you have that moment of like, this is taking off. And with that, relationships are key. So like you said, with those editors and stuff, and we make it like in our business and the last I don't know, 10 years, I've always made friendships with people, and nothing I do in my companies would even be possible without a lot of other awesome people. And so I think like the best way to go viral in your life would just be to create these amazing relationships with editors, with people who own product companies. Like if there's something you love and support, and it's not disingenuine, like if you're like I'm a part of the Modern Salon Collective, and so is OMG. And if you genuinely want to be a part of that, you love the people, you believe what they stand for, there's nothing more genuine than showing your support. And so I think some people are like, oh, well, that's weird to like do this and this to get something out of them. And I'm like, no, it's not to get something out of them. It's to take your business to another level because your brands make sense together. And
Yes.
that's helping them and that's helping you. And so the best way to do that is to, talk with Allison or these different people and just start building a friendship from the ground up. There's no, like, when people are like, oh, I want to be an ambassador for a company, or I want to do this, like, which we could do 5 podcast episodes on, but like, it's relationship based. Like you just start like you do with anyone. Like, oh, you meet them at a show, you stay in contact, you support them, you see them somewhere else. Maybe it's their birthday and you send them something. Maybe, you DM back on their funny things. Like it literally builds like you meet someone in school. Like you just kind of grow that relationship. And then the more your brands make sense together, like then it's different to be like, hey, I have a really cool idea that's good for both of us. And you guys are friends, so they're going to sit down and talk with you. And whether that's email or a phone call or whatever, but that is the best way to pitch to someone, to work with someone, to get featured, is just genuine relationships. And that makes your like business and life go viral in a way that you actually really fucking enjoy. And there's nothing cooler than that, right?
I completely agree. And also too, like relationships, even with the people that are viewing your stuff daily, like I write back to every single DM. I'm not kidding.
We do too.
You guys write me today, I will write you back. Speaking of that, if you guys could screenshot this podcast on your phones, on your Androids, your iPhones, whatever, and post it to your stories and tag Elizabeth and I would totally appreciate that. I'd love to know exactly, who's on here, who's listening, right, Elizabeth? These are all of our friends.
Yes.
Post it to your stories, and we'd love to communicate with you guys and stay in touch for sure.
Well, and I'm going to spill the beans on something. And so I'm just going to say it. So one of the best parts about hosting a podcast is the relationships you make. Like hands down, I have never felt more connected to my audience than I do now. And I feel like I've always felt connected to them, but there's just like a whole nother experience when I speak and you're listening and then you tell me things that are happening to you and you write in, like it's just this whole other thing. And so I'm really excited because Olivia is going to start a podcast. I'm the bean spiller, but I'm so excited for you because everyone who really adores you and you adore them, it's like you're moving from like dating to like in a serious relationship, and it's so fun. So I'm so excited for you. And I think that's great that we can support you. Like you support us and tag us, we can do the same back. And that really starts fostering, like, this, everyone knows this. If you have an Instagram, you know who comments and likes and DMs. Like I know your handle. Some of you, I know what your kid looks like. Like I know who you are,
Right. And thank you so much, Elizabeth, seriously, for just announcing that. And guys, I'm going to be featuring Elizabeth on mine. And we're going to talk all about everything. Like me and Elizabeth, I think we talked for almost like 30, 40 minutes before we even jumped on this podcast. So we could go on for days. We never get a chance to really catch up. So Elizabeth, thank you. I totally appreciate that. And, aside of everything, just voice as a whole, and voice is just so important. And I feel like it makes people really connect with exactly like what you're trying to say, because it's just like, think about like when you're texting, like, your friends or like your boyfriend, your husband, your kids, whatever. And it just doesn't, like, text lacks tone. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So to hear my passion is not to necessarily read my passion, if that makes sense.
Oh.
So that's why taking things to the next level on voice is basically a 3D version of what your Instagram page would be. So in 2019, with these podcasts, it's an extension of what people are going to do to actually start interacting with you.
Yeah. Well, and you can, I mean, this is what's exciting for the people listening to Hair Love Radio or to your future podcast is you just can teach so much more obviously in a long format, voice audio than I ever could in an Instagram post or a story. I mean, it's just different and it's evergreen. It lives forever. You can listen to this, you can replay it, you can share it. So it's a very powerful educational tool, as our listeners know. And it's so great that I'm excited that we're able to give free content in this format. And for people like, we have a lot of people who are in our coaching program. I'm sure you coach a lot of people. You teach, hundreds in classes, but not everyone, it's a option for them at this moment, or they're not ready to take that next leap of faith. But I'm glad that they can be here and listen and learn something and make their day a little better. So
Yeah.
pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Yes. Just coming from, like a social media standpoint, I don't think I've actually like really have said this before. There is I'm just going to categorize this into two specific people when it comes to social. And, I read a lot. Like I've been reading, a few books and articles and there's this one thing that really kind of stood out to me and I want to read it to you guys. And it basically says, a man, woman, fishes for two reasons. They're either sport fishing to eat, which means they're either trying to catch the biggest fish that they can, take a picture of it, admire it with its buddies, and then toss it back into the sea, or they're going to take that fish home, they're going to scale it, fillet it, toss it in some cornmeal, fry it up, and put it on a plate. And I feel like this is with social media too. You are in it for either the glory or you're really trying. You're either trying to feed your family or you're trying to show it off to your family. And what you guys have to be doing is you have to really be purposeful when it comes to what you're doing online, and you have to figure out exactly what you want. And I think by basically breaking it down into where you want to go and setting proper goals is where it's going to set you up for success. Now, that doesn't mean you need a 5-year plan because things change every day. Come on, the algorithm changes like every moment. So just having like a plan of attack to really specifically figure out what you want to get out of all this time that you're putting in online. Am I right, Elizabeth?
Yes. I mean, your why is freaking everything. Like, yeah. Oh, yeah. We could go like on and on about that. But I mean, you definitely, like, you hear people, you hear life coaches, you hear everyone, like, I want to live a life with intention. I want to be conscious about what I'm doing. And so I think, that just goes back to why do all this and take away from the things you love if you don't have a why and a purpose. And so when you do it, it all makes sense, right? Whether it's to grow your dream clientele, open the salon of your dreams, start a clothing line, whatever the heck it is, you have a reason behind it. Because I mean, honestly, I don't know that I ever would have gotten on social media if I didn't have a why. Like, I don't know that I would, maybe eventually I would have gotten on just to connect with like friends or family or see what other people are doing or be inspired. But I think it would have taken me years and years to be like, oh, this is actually cool. I could get inspiration from here. But I wouldn't have gotten on in 2011, 12, or whenever the heck it was, so long, maybe 13. I don't know. It was a long time ago. But I had a why. I was writing a blog. I had a purpose. I knew what I wanted to bring to people. And I knew this was an amazing opportunity to give light to others. And they just had to find me. And then when they did, they would love it. So,
Elizabeth, do you remember at the Modern Salon Digital Summit where I started crying on stage?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So the reason why I was crying on stage was because I knew my why all along, but I didn't vocally speak my why. And I figured it out on stage that day. And
oh my gosh.
Yeah. that's why I started crying. So just to back up to give you guys a little explanation, at the Modern Salon Digital Summit, they had me keynote for my social media class. And when
Which
I
she did so freaking amazing. And I'm so grateful I was there to see my friend do that. She knocked it out of the park.
Thank you so much. Well, on stage, they wanted us to talk a little bit more rather than just my class. So, I pretty much at home, I started to write things out and try to figure out what I was going to say. But at the end of it all, I kind of just said, this is exactly what I'm going to talk about. And when I was coming back from college, I had no money. This is right when the market had crashed in 2008. And I decided that I wanted to go to hair school. Well, when I went to go sign up for financial aid, they actually told me that I did not apply for it. I did not qualify for financial aid because, my parents made too much money on paper last year. And the truth was my parents actually, my mom didn't even have that job anymore. Things were going downhill from there. So I was begging and pleading and pleading and pleading to find a scholarship, a grant, anything that I could. And after 6 weeks and 3 days, they finally gave me a grant. I mean, I was already $20,000 in debt at this time, and I was changing.
Oh my gosh.
It was really, really hard. Some of you guys might really relate to the market crash and how it affected us all, something that happened in New York City that trickled down to the entire United States. So, but what I realized was the reason why I have no secrets is because I was given this gift of life and knowledge. And I realized that there is no way that I'm going to hoard my knowledge, because at the end of the day, knowledge is currency, right? Knowledge is basically, don't hoard your currency. And I started to bawl because I said to myself, I go, this life is a gift. I honestly, I have the video and it's on my YouTube, and I just started breaking down and crying. Wouldn't you agree, Elizabeth, that a trade is a gift?
Yeah, 100%. Well, and I mean, you are an example of someone who doesn't hoard things, and you don't live in a scarcity mindset when it comes to that. And look at all the abundance you've been able to give back because you were grateful for the gift you were given. I just think that's such a cool full circle moment, and we can all really learn from that. I think that's really cool. And isn't that funny? I learned my why a few years ago, and I started sobbing when I figured it out, because I kind of took a moment to be like, why have I done all this? Why have I been so driven? Why have I been so passionate? There's a reason. And when I finally figured it out, it is a really big aha moment. And it was really cool to watch you share that on stage, and you touched a lot of people, and yeah. But yeah.
Oh, you know what? It was the first time because as you listen to me, I'm all very strategy based and analytics based, and I don't really go too far. For now, I'll open up eventually, but I don't really go too far deep into vulnerability. And I made myself so vulnerable on that stage that I don't know what got into me. And I think that I was just so nervous and about going on stage. It was the biggest crowd I've ever talked in front of. And I was so nervous, and I just had all this built up love and energy. And that was the same weekend that my video went viral. And I just was coming from every angle. I just felt so grateful to be on that stage. And then all of a sudden I figured out my why. And I was like, boom!
Oh, that's so cool. That's so cool.
It was unexplainable. It was unexplainable at that moment. So, and I feel now making yourself more vulnerable really helped me connect with a lot of the people that were there. Cause I was, at the end of the day, I was the last speaker on stage, and I was scared, I was
yeah, you were the final keynote.
Yes. I was nobody's going to show up. I was just so wrapped up in that. And right before I went on stage, I actually did a bunch of push-ups, cause that actually helps with your adrenaline, when you go on stage. And actually, if you do ever go on stage, do some wall planks, because it helps you stabilize your feet so you don't walk around on stage too much. It weighs them down. So I did a bunch of those, and next thing you know, it was great. It was great. So I'm glad you were there.
So good. You did so good. I got to try that wall plank thing, because I dance on stage. I'm a lunatic. I actually, I will write down the name of the show notes. I drink some drink every day. I don't know the name of it. It's supposed to be like some keto drink, but that shit works so good before. It just keeps you like really clear and stuff. And I always drink like the super charged one before I go on stage. And I maybe it's a placebo effect. I don't know, but I really feel like it helps me. I'm actually drinking one right now.
Oh my gosh. So I'm drinking my special drink too. Actually, speaking to you guys, it's from VPX. They have it basically has like amino acids in it. It helps with like mental acuity.
Yeah.
But I also take calcium magnesium before I go on stage too. So I have an upper, and the calcium magnesium helps with your nervous system. So it actually calms you. So I have anxiety sometimes, like even if I'm at the salon or, traveling always gives me anxiety. No matter how many times I went away this year, every time I walk through that damn TSA, I'm always nervous they're going to take my stuff away. So I take a calcium magnesium before I go on stage, and that helps me so much. And keep in mind, if anybody on here ever does want to be on stage or just in front of the camera, you have to practice being yourself, you have to practice being on stage and talking to people. And believe it or not, you're not going to believe this, Elizabeth, but I was actually like an introvert when I was much younger, like an extroverted introvert. Does that make sense? Like,
kind of.
You got me good for like an hour, and then I'd need to go recharge for like 10.
Oh, yeah. You know what? I'm a little bit like that. That's interesting. Have you ever taken the 16 personalities test?
Okay, so when I was younger, I did. And then
I'm going to make you take it. I want to know what it is.
Oh, I took it when I was younger, and it was like 50-50. But now I took it again, and it said I was 87% extrovert. So
see, you've pushed yourself.
A lot of energy, but it's passion, like passion is the one thing that drives you to do everything when nothing's happening. So
it's like love. You do crazy shit when you're in love. And when you love what you do and it fulfills you and you're helping others. Yeah. I get on shit. I get on shit. No, I didn't mean that. I get online, and I mean, for so long, this is like long time ago. I used to have a lifestyle blog. And I was so funny about like the pictures had to be perfect. It was like in my old marriage, and like if I got online, it had to be perfect. And just like the more that I have like fallen into my purpose online, I just care less about that, because I feel like I care more about the value I bring to my audience than like my acne that day. Like I just don't care as much. And I think that's like with that passion, like you're like, I don't care, this is going to make someone's day better. Like that matters more than like my stupid acne,
Yes.
And so like I'm scared to speak to people, but I care more about the message I receive. I believe it was Rachel Hollis said, I don't know if it was in a Facebook or a YouTube video, I don't know, but she said that it is actually selfish of us to not, and this like I was like, holy shit. So like you're scared to get online and do a live and do stories, which first off is an amazing way if you ever want to speak or sell things or do anything like that, like Instagram, Facebook Live, all of these are amazing opportunities for us to like dip our toe in the water before you actually speak in front of real life humans. But she was saying that, she was nervous to get online and wanted to look good and all this stuff. And it like someone told her, it was Oprah. Oh my God. So Rachel Hollis was inspired by Oprah. So Oprah basically was saying that it was really selfish and ungrateful of us to withhold our gifts that we can give to other human beings because we're worried what people think of us. So you are withholding giving people light and love and everything that you were given by universe, the God, like all of that, because you are too damn selfish and ungrateful and you worry more about yourself than you do other people. And I was like, holy freaking Oprah. Like that is so amazing. And I think when we get out of like our shell and think of it like that, that's just so beautiful. Like everyone, and I believe in God, but everyone believes in something different. But like, I really believe no matter what you believe, you were given things and gifts and talents. It's like that quote, your passions are not random. They're your callings. Like I'm not passionate about my random things just because. No, I was made that way. And so withholding ourselves from like being passionate about those and sharing it is just super selfish and ungrateful. And I was like, oh my gosh, so good.
You know what I say sometimes? I'm like, it's not even about me. Like, it's not even about you.
But it's
like,
not. Yeah.
It's not even about it's what we need to get over, you know?
Well,
And
you are an instrument. You, Olivia, is the instrument that is whatever information is flowing through you because God gave you your voice and your eyes and your heart to be able to give that to other people. And that's it. That is your job, is to serve others.
well, remember this. The number one cause of failure in this country is the fear of failure. So, fear paralyzes us from taking any action. Like I say, like paralysis by analysis. So it
Ooh.
just makes us do nothing at all.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I
Right?
like that one.
Wouldn't you agree with
Yeah.
that?
It's so true. It's so true. So get over yourself and go viral.
Yes, and go live.
Yes.
And another thing with algorithm, go live because like I said earlier, when you go live, what happens? You pop up at the top of the screen, okay?
Yep.
And then they stay on your live for 1 minute, 2 minute, 3 minute, maybe
Yep.
the whole 30 minutes. Well, guess what? Next time you go live, next time you post a story, next time you post on your feed, Instagram's going to know, hey, they really like Hey Elizabeth Faye stuff. So I'm going to make sure that Hey Elizabeth Faye stuff always shows up in Olivia's feed. So
Yep.
think about that one too, because it's a very underutilized part of Instagram right now. So it's gaining popularity, but when you're the first and you are the most common to be on there, you will be rewarded. The algorithm rewards engagement. It will reward you if you are constantly talking, commenting, engaging, liking, following, posting. They want you to use the platform.
Yep.
The algorithm can work for you.
Oh,
You just
100%. So like our engagement has gone up. And like, so I don't say that like being an asshole, but like I hear a lot of people like, oh, this is a problem. And like, I don't gain 5,000 new followers a day, but I never did. And unless like something like we did a big campaign or something random, but like daily stuff. And our engagement's fine. We DM all the time. And that's where like Olivia was saying, I respond back to everything. Like that's so important. It's kind of like the people in your chair or the customers, like if you're a creative entrepreneur selling a product, the people who are already invested in buying in you are more important than the new people. The new people are good too. You need to have an equal flow in your business of new people coming in and good retention, but your client retention is the most important thing. And so fostering those relationships by responding to DMs, comments, engaging back is the best thing you can do because those are high interest people. So when it comes to marketing, you're going to first go for the low hanging fruit. So those are people who love you. They respond to you. They're already in with you. Those are the people that you're going to market to first, right? So if you're like, oh, I'm going to add extensions to my business, you're not going to go get new clients. You're going to tell your current clients about it, right? They're the low hanging fruit. They're the people in your chair who love you. And so it's really important to foster those relationships online as well. And that means Olivia's love bombs, right? Go give them some engagement. Maybe that means, whatever, shouting them out, reposting them. You just really want to reward that. And that will affect your sales and your income more than you know. And it's also really rewarding to have actual real relationships. Yeah.
I completely agree.
So that's huge. And if you're someone who's listening to this and like, you're like, oh my gosh, this is stressing me out going live. Like, what do I even say? So if that's the boat you're in, like this episode is really good for, I would say people who are already influencing, they're already doing stuff. But, if you're someone who's like starting at the beginning, there's a million other episodes that I would recommend listening to. Building a brand would be a great one. Opting out, we'll put those in the show notes. But I would suggest just really evaluating like your why and your purpose and who you're trying to speak and sell to. So start there and know that there is enough time, there's enough to go around, and don't have anxiety with that or angst. Like really just find your purpose. And once you have that, then you're able to listen to episodes like this and just really lock it in and like, lock and load and keep going, right?
Yes. And another thing too, you could plan for it. So there's some times where like I have this yearning to want to go live, but I have nothing to talk about. So what I do is like I prep in the beginning of the day, and on my stories, I say, hey, planning on going live tonight at 8:00 tonight. What are some questions you want to ask me? That way you're not setting yourself up for nothing, and you guys have to keep in mind, there are sometimes I'll go live and there are 5 people on there, but you have to realize that your lives stay there for 24 hours. So you're still going to get more viewership when you go live in the long haul of those 24 hours. On top of that, make sure you're saving your lives. Okay.
Yep.
You save your lives 2 days later, post it to IGTV. Okay. And then eventually post it to YouTube and start building up your YouTube from there.
Olivia, I have a question for you.
Yes, of course.
So maybe maybe someone else relates with this. So our lives on my phone will not let me save them if they're like extremely long, if they're like more than like 40 minutes. Have you ever had that problem?
I've never had that problem, but I do know that when you go live with somebody else, it doesn't let you save it sometimes.
Is that what it is?
If you're going live with somebody else, yes, I have seen that. So what I would recommend to you is if you really want this live, I would actually screen record on your phone.
Yeah.
So
We did that. We went back and screen recorded, but I was like, what did I do wrong? That's interesting.
So once it posts to your actual stories, just I know iPhone has it. I'm not really sure about Android, but basically you'll just let it. Yeah. Don't make sure you're on your phone that you don't let it time out, because then it'll time out. It'll screw up your thing. So,
yeah, we learned that.
Let it play the entire time, and but save those videos. You know what I mean? Like if you're gonna go live and you're just gonna talk, you might as well repurpose that content for everywhere. Everywhere. And then if you could eventually, extract the audio and come up with a podcast.
Yeah. No, well, and it's just, if you're going to take the time to make content, it's smart of you and who of you to work smarter, not harder, and reuse it in different places. And like this is actually funny. I had like a really big Snapchat following for a while, and it was one of the most fun things I ever did with Snapchat. But when stories came around, I just kind of traded boats, hop ship. But like we had completely different audience. And so you'd be surprised. The people who follow you on Facebook might be different than YouTube, might be different than Instagram. Yes, you're going to have some crossover, but there's people who like other platforms better. And so it's fine to repurpose content. It's great.
Yes. And also too, like, they say like YouTube is the new TV. And that is so freaking true for like a lot of, people.
My son watches more YouTube than anything else.
The phone is the new TV. Let's really say that. I'll be watching a full episode of like, The Adventures of Sabrina. And then all of a sudden, like I've been on my phone the entire time and have no idea what's going on in the show. So that's where my attention span lies, and that's a lot. That's majority of the people now that are very into social media and reading stuff online. But that's where the attention is. So that's where, we've been reciting over to.
Mm-hmm. No, I love that. So before we wrap this baby up, give me our 3 fly takeaways from this episode. Like, what are the 3 things that people need to go away with?
Okay. Number one, execute. Okay. Don't just sit there and say you're going to do something. Actually do it. Put a plan into place. If you take nothing away from this entire podcast, it's just to actually get stuff done. Okay. Number 2, make sure you're posting more video. Okay. Very easy for me to say, right? Post more video. YouTube, Google, it's a very powerful tool. Figure it out. Okay. I have a Sony A5100 and that's what I record all of my stuff on. Make sure you write that down. It's a great beginner camera. It's super small. You can take it with you anywhere. Okay.
I'm trying to think. I have because I have one I love too. It's a Canon, but it's like, it looks a lot like yours. That's why I asked you the other day. I was like, what do you have? Because we look like we have twinner ones, but it's a point and shoot and it's really simple and it's high quality. So love that. Keep going.
Do the investment. Your phone is great. Your phone is great for now. So don't feel like, oh, now I have to buy a camera and that's when I'll start doing video. No, just execute. Like I said, number 1. And number 3, just figure out you. Even if that takes till the end of 2019, just write down things in your notes, write things on paper, figure out your branding. When I do a lot of like one-on-one social media phone calls and stuff. And the first thing that I always have them do is go to Pinterest and start figuring out their brand color story. Okay. And just start posting things, whether that's, rustic chics type of stuff. I love pastels. I love glitter. If you look at my brand mood board, like it has nothing to do with hair or makeup or anything at all. It's like greenery, vacations, and that has become a part of my brand. And it's really helped me to discover exactly what I'm putting out there because obviously like attracts like. So just start figuring out what you want. What you want to see, how you want to feel, how you want others to feel. So those top 3 things are the best takeaways for this entire segment of our podcast.
Yeah. No, I love that. Well, and I love what you said. I'm going to reiterate it because it's so good. Figure out you. That is like, where you should swap 3 and 1, because that is the best investment you can make, because the rest will fall into place. The rest is just doing the work and making it happen. And so once you figure out you, what you want, who you're speaking to, and your why, the rest makes sense. And so take the time to write, think, don't rush that process. The rest of it, you can get your giddy up on with, but like figuring out that part is super, super important. I love everything we talked about today. OMG, you're so amazing. Thank you for being on Hair Love Radio. I cannot wait to collaborate on your podcast. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. We'll put everything in the show notes where you can connect and love on OMG. And as always, we hair love you.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth.
We'll see you guys later.
Hair Love Radio.